Here's my audience, my grandmother and my aunt and her dogs. Here you go. Okay. Today I'm going to be talking about what can be done to help people affected by mental illness. In my previous speeches, I've talked about what my actual issue is as well as why it matters. And I believe this speech is the most important because not just for me, but for everybody's speech, it just shows what can be done to help all the potential problems of this world and what can be done, to make this world a better place. Such a large number of people are affected by mental illness, and according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 people, or 450 million people, are affected by mental illness, and this is just such a large population of people to be affected by something so negative. And I just believe that something should be done about it, not only because I'm personally affected, but just because so many people are affected by it, and it's just a huge problem. The biggest problem that comes with mental illness is that of stigma. And stigma is when people judge others that are affected by mental illness, or maybe, don't accept them. But this is the biggest problem that comes with mental illness. And from an article in Stigma and Discrimination, it states that 9 out of 10 people that are affected by a mental illness say that stigma and discrimination has a negative effect on their life. And many people believe that, people affected with mental illnesses can hurt them or they're dangerous, but they're not. And it's actually the other way around. We are the ones that threaten them whether we know it or not. And they have more of a risk than being harmed rather than us, and they feel threatened and uncomfortable sometimes because just other people don't know how to deal with things like that, or people in that kind of situation. So David Sussman, who is a certified psychiatrist, came up with these 5 steps in order to reduce the stigma and discrimination that comes along with mental illness. And he explains these 5 steps that can reduce the stigma and steps that can show the people how to properly treat people that are affected by mental illness. And these steps consist of not labeling people with a mental illness. Don't call them names, just call them by their name. Don't label them. Don't be afraid of them. As I previously stated, they're more afraid of us than we are of them. Don't use disrespectful terms when referring to people with mental illness problems, and don't blame them for anything because they obviously can't help how they are. So, there's no need to blame them. And the 5th and final step that Sussman talks about is being a role model for them and showing them that they're accepted in this world, and they don't need to be disrespected or called names. They just need to be accepted and treated as if any other person would be. Most people know someone with a mental illness, whether that be a friend that you may have, a family member, or a friend of a friend. Like, you just may know of someone that has some sort of mental illness. And for me, obviously, like I've stated before, is my mother. She has frontal lobe brain damage. And most people think, people with mental illnesses don't understand what I'm saying. They can't comprehend this and this, but they actually do. And your words do make a difference, if you just accept them and treat them with respect and know, that they're normal people just like everybody, then that really does make a difference. a way to support a close friend or family member with a mental illness. The Mental Health Association explains that you need to find out if the person is getting proper treatment, if they're getting help, if they're seeking help. If they're not able to seek help, then you need to be the one to step up and get them help. And you need to remind them that, something can be done and that they can be helped and they can be treated about what's going on with them. And you need to offer them help with everyday tasks, whether that's going to the grocery store or, getting their bills paid on time or anything of that sort. Just everyday tasks that we take for granted that they may have trouble with. You could help them, or if you're not able to, get someone else that that's reliable that can help them. And you also need to include them in everything that you do, continuously invite them to places and go do stuff with you, whether that's just, like I said before, going to the grocery store or anything. They want to be accepted and they want to be just as involved as anybody else in this world. Local places around Columbus, and I personally live in LaGrange, there are local help centers everywhere that are made especially for people with mental issues. And these two places that I've included actually helped my mother. And the first one is the Bradley Center, which is located, this certain one is located in downtown Columbus. And the other one that I included was the Pathways Center, and this one is in LaGrange, but I included the contact information, the address, the phone number, the office hours of these places. And these two places in particular I know have multiple locations all around the state of Georgia and maybe even outside of Georgia, but just know that, there are places that will help people with mental illnesses, and there are people that go to school, just for that, whether it's an occupational therapist or someone else that can help them, improve and get through what they're going through. Mental illnesses, it's a growing problem and a continuous problem, and it's never going to go away. And I've stated that previously, and in my previous speech I explained that also. And the issues that come with mental illness can be helped, like I stated previously as well. People can do something to help people with mental illnesses, and they can make a difference in their life, no matter how extreme the issue is or how bad off someone is. There can be something done, and you're doing more if you even attempt to help them rather than just sitting there and not saying anything at all. And I just believe, it's a huge issue, again, not because of a personal reason, but just because so many people in this world are affected by mental illnesses. And I just think, people need help. And regardless of whether, because, the people with mental illnesses may not even be able to go seek help themselves. So, you have to be the one to step up and take that responsibility and help them, especially if it's someone that you're close to, like a friend or a family member. I hope, that you all have learned a lot about mental illness, as well as why it's important, and especially what you can do to help people with mental illnesses. And I hope this has impacted you, somewhat. I don't know, for a personal reason or anything like that, but I hope you've learned something and taken away something of this. And I just want to thank you all for being here, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.